Hello kind people of YouTube and welcome back to another video. We have a lot to talk about today, so let's jump straight into it with a quick look at the markets. Now today there's nothing all that interesting going on in the crypto markets. We are seeing a continuation of the drop from the last couple weeks. Today we are roughly down 5% in most major coins. In the top 5, the only coin that is down less than 4% is XRP, down 3.17%, but every single thing here is down significantly. We have to go pretty low to find anything that has gained in value. The first thing is number 27, Decret, I think that is how you pronounce it, up 0.69%. So we're seeing large losses in the markets today, but if you're looking at the 7-day graphs here, it is very much just a simple continuation of the pattern we have seen in the last couple days. Nothing all that extraordinary or interesting going on here, just a continuation of this spiral, of this bear market that we have seen. And it is currently anybody's guess just how long this will continue. Quite a lot of people have named either $3,000 or $3,500 as the lowest that Bitcoin can possibly go. I'm very wary of that 3,500 number because with how significantly losses are right now every day, we are going to get to that number within another day or two. And at this speed, at this rate of loss, I don't think that will be able to stop the free fall that we're seeing right now. So I think we can forget about the 3,500 number. I think we have to consider the 3,001. Of course, everything else in the crypto markets would go down accordingly, probably. That would be about 20%. Who knows if that number is where Bitcoin can save itself, where it can turn around. But there's very little point right now in speculating where the prices are going to go in the next couple days. So let's look at some news, and there has been plenty going on today. First up, and as always, you can read all these articles in the description yourself because I will not always read them out fully. Coinbase Pro added Zcash the other day, and now Zcash is also available on its main Coinbase service. Less than a week after adding privacy-focused Zcash to its professional trading platform, crypto exchange Coinbase is opening trading to its retail customers. The company announced Wednesday that clients using Coinbase.com or the Android and iOS apps can buy, sell, send, receive, or store Zcash, though residents in the United Kingdom and the US state of New York will not immediately have access. The move comes on the heels of Coinbase Pro adding support for Zcash last week. At the time, the platform announced that only residents in the US, excluding New York, UK, European Union, Canada, Singapore, and Australia would be able to access the coin. That is pretty much the important stuff we need here. They do go into the Coinbase effect, which is that generally when a coin is added to Coinbase, especially in the days leading up to it, we usually see the price go up significantly. Now, Zcash is one of many new coins they're adding. It used to be that Coinbase adding a new coin to its platform, a new asset to its platform, was a rare occurrence. Now, since that is becoming more and more common, we're seeing less of an effect. And that is what we're seeing with Zcash. Not nearly as much movement there. 15%. When we had BAT being added, I believe it went up 50%. And usually that happens in the days leading up to it being added to the platform because we generally find out a couple days before. And then when it actually is on the platform, the price tends to crash back down. We're seeing that with Zcash now, but to a lesser degree. But in general, this is very good for Zcash in the long run and probably also for Coinbase to have more diverse assets on there. I believe this is the first privacy coin that they have, but do not quote me on that. But in general, Coinbase, as much as a lot of us understandably do not like the platform, the company, it is the first address that a lot of people looking to invest in crypto go to. So anything being available on there is ultimately good for the crypto markets and for availability of cryptocurrencies, whatever we might think of the company themselves. So for Zcash, this is very, very, very good. We are likely going to see at least one more coin added to the platform before the end of the year as part of their new strategy to really get pretty much anything on there. On to some XRP news. XRP is now supported in a new payment application. R3, an enterprise blockchain software firm, launched Corda Settler, an application that settles international payments within a corporate network, and it supports XRP. The open source application comes as a part of a bigger CorDApp package. It allows participants to issue payment requests and settle them on the Corda network through crypto assets like XRP or any traditional payment protocol that uses cryptographic confirmation for settlement. The Corda Settler also oversees whether requested payment obligations get executed and updates the Corda ledger if they do, like a blockchain. And this is a direct quote. The deployment of the Corda Settler and its support for XRP as the first settlement mechanism is an important step in showing how the powerful ecosystems cultivated by two of the world's most influential crypto and blockchain communities can work together. Now, we don't really need to read the rest of this. They briefly mentioned that there were some legal troubles between Ripple and R3 in the past, but they have seemingly overcome that in releasing this together. Now, you might wonder why read out news that is just about XRP being supported in a platform. Well, the core thing here is that it is the first settlement mechanism supported. And that is meaningful, being the first, being the choice for this company to go to. Because they could have gone with a variety of crypto assets, but they chose XRP, and they must have chosen XRP for a reason. And that is the difference between just being supported and being the #1 choice. And XRP here is the #1 choice in this new Corda Settler application. Who knows how widespread use for this will be? I'm not quite sure how big their network is, but ultimately this is looking very promising for XRP. Now, the XRP price has not reacted in response, but the markets are a bit the markets lately have not been very logical, have not been reacting to news accordingly. This is potentially big for XRP. Right now it is hard to tell how big it will be, but even if this doesn't turn into a lot of actual movement using the XRP token, this is a company that had legal trouble with Ripple. Despite the legal problems and the bad blood between them and Ripple, they chose the XRP token as the first settlement mechanism to integrate in their new software suite. That is meaningful. That tells us a lot about how companies that are building financial products see XRP. It's the choice to integrate. That is what this tells us, and to me this is very exciting as a supporter of XRP. Openly, I've said it before, I'm openly a supporter of XRP. Not only XRP, I support a lot of cryptocurrencies, but it's always good to see XRP news like this. Now, one coin that isn't in such good news is Bitcoin Cash. Now, of course, a lot has been going on surrounding Bitcoin Cash since the hard fork about 3 weeks ago, I believe it was now, middle of November. That hard fork, of course, Bitcoin Cash ABC, Bitcoin Cash SV, the Bitcoin Cash price crashed by 80%, I believe it's 80% now, and is largely credited as being the instigator for this recent market crash. I generally consider it the catalyst, but not the core reason. And now there are even more issues surrounding this hard fork. A company by the name of United Corp is taking a number of Bitcoin Cash actors to court today, filing documents that very clearly outline what they believe to have been a conspiracy which worked out to their detriment. United Corp is short for United America Corporation, a Florida firm which works in experimental blockchain technologies including blockchain domes, an interesting take on mining hardware. The heart of the suit is that the Bitcoin Cash hard fork should have been allowed to play out under the standard rules of consensus in Bitcoin Cash. They allege that Bitcoin.com's conversion of Bitcoin mining hardware and renting of extra hardware for the benefit of mining the Bitcoin ABC chain was an unfair practice and worked to undermine the principles of Bitcoin as a whole. A press release on the subject elucidates this further. And this is a direct quote from their press release. United Corp alleges that the use of computational hashing power that did not contribute to the network just prior and then was withdrawn shortly after the network upgrade for the sole purpose of maintaining an artificially longer chain over the existing rule set and amounted to human manipulation for the purpose of centralizing the autonomous network, and that this was orchestrated by a small group of individuals and corporations. It says decentralizing here, but I'm pretty sure what is meant is centralizing. From context, that might have been a simple typo when they were copying the statement here. Continuing on. United Corp also alleges that a few days later on November 20th, the ABC development team planted a poison pill into the blockchain in the form of a deep reorg prevention, as well as other functionality in order to cement the control of the blockchain ledger. This intervention allows maintenance of control on future implementations and any related rule sets for future network updates. United Corp had filed their suit paperwork at US District Court in Miami at time of writing. The legal process will proceed from here. Named defendants are Roger Ver and Jihan Wu personally, Bitcoin.com, Bitmain Corporation, and Kraken Exchange would lend its support to Bitcoin ABC from the outset. Keep in mind here that Bitcoin.com is of course Roger Ver, I believe it's Roger Ver's website, is a Bitcoin Cash website, not a Bitcoin website. Despite the name, that is purposely misleading because a lot of Bitcoin Cash supporters consider Bitcoin Cash the real Bitcoin. A lot of them just call it Bitcoin as well, so this is purposely misleading website name. Point 4 of the filed court documents actually brings centralization to court, perhaps a first, then certainly of interest to cryptonauts the world over. The market manipulation is centralizing what is intended to be a decentralized transactional system, enabling the corruption of the democratic and neutral principles of the Bitcoin Cash network. And here's a very interesting point coming up now. The court will actually be asked to determine whether or not Bitcoin Cash users have a right to decentralization. And this is the really interesting thing about this whole lawsuit to me, because this might set precedent. How they decide here is almost certain to set precedent, at least in the US, but the way a lot of legal systems work is that precedents set in other countries, especially in the UK or the US, can be used as precedent anyways, if locally no such cases have existed. Then I don't know how formalized that process is, but it is not unheard of that I believe it's called common law, but I'm not a legal expert, so do correct me if I'm wrong here. But I believe it is quite common that precedent from other countries, especially the US and UK, is used around the world. So of course, whatever they decide here, there's a good chance that it will be escalated to a higher court, that it might be reversed, that it might be that they might come down the same way. But this decision ultimately, no matter which court ends up making it, this will be a landmark case about whether cryptocurrency users have a right to decentralization if the promise of that cryptocurrency involves decentralization. Now, you can definitely argue whether Roger Ver and his supporters messed up there, whether they undermined what Bitcoin Cash could stand for. I have seen little more than this article, so I'm not personally going to make any statements either way here. It's looking worrying, but I haven't heard the other side. I haven't heard any experts really explain what exactly was going on. But this court case could be very, very interesting, and it's a further nail in what could potentially be Bitcoin Cash's coffin. Now this just looking at this price movement here, oh my god, it went from over $600 to $114 in a month. That is just scary. But in general, ultimately what is happening here is that Bitcoin Cash really hurt cryptocurrency as a whole. That hard fork was completely unnecessary. The behavior around it was childish at best. And now there are court cases going on surrounding if it might have even been illegal. Now, just consider how that is seen from outside the crypto world. This was the number 4 cryptocurrency. It shares a name with the number 1 cryptocurrency. All of this is being reported on in mainstream news. People who consider investing in cryptocurrency see this, and they get scared. They think we're a bunch of children who don't know how to act. They think we're a bunch of scam artists. And this is just absolutely terrible for the image of crypto, and that is why I think this was the catalyst for the recent market slump from the middle of November on. Now, that is not to say it's the only reason the market is going down. There are a lot of reasons contributing. Markets are complex, but it was the catalyst. And it just keeps getting worse. It just keeps getting worse. And because of all this, we now have predictions saying that Bitcoin is fading and might go to $1,500. After MarketWatch got lambasted for publishing a questionable op-ed regarding a Bitcoin mining death spiral, remember I talked about this the other day, the financial media continued their bearish cryptocurrency coverage on Wednesday. More specifically, Bloomberg, which covers the crypto industry round the clock, recently had its in-house analyst tout a $1,500 per Bitcoin prediction, far below what many traders deem logical. While selling pressure has begun to abate, with 24-hour volumes in the cryptocurrency market falling to 14 billion, Bitcoin continued its seemingly endless downtrend on Wednesday. The asset, which ranged primarily between 3,900 and 4,200 for a week, fell under the former price level in recent hours. During one point on Wednesday, the foremost cryptocurrency suddenly fell to $3,668, nearing its one-year low of $3,500. But since its initial sell-off, Bitcoin has found itself amid a veneer of stability, finding a short-term foothold in the mid-3,700s, as bears presumably catch their breath. Yesterday's move clearly exhibits the sentiment that volatility has likely returned to cryptocurrency markets after the aforementioned multi-day lull. And according to Bloomberg, this bearish volatility is likely to continue into 2019, contradicting sentiment that both the cryptocurrency and equities market would undergo a Santa Claus rally. Now, we have seen a lot of people predict a Santa Claus rally. I made a video about it as well about a month ago, but that was in a very different market situation, and that was with a lot more time left in the year. I'm much less hopeful that we're going to see that at this point. I don't think we're going to see the markets turn around until early 2019, when a lot of new services and products around cryptocurrencies go live. Until then, I don't see strong reason to believe this is going to happen. We have historical precedent, but you have to keep in mind, the crypto world is only a couple years old. Those are very small numbers that you can't really extrapolate from. We have only had 10 winters, 10 Christmas seasons in the entire existence of crypto. And a few of those having seen a rally, that could be mere coincidence that isn't necessarily yet a pattern. But let's continue with the article for a moment. The financial market resource recently noted that the directional movement index indicates that after Bitcoin fell under $6,600 in July, the asset has been caught in a strong selling trend. While a single indicator isn't enough to signal a downtrend, Bloomberg also drew attention to the average directional index, which is nearing 50, a purportedly bearish sign. In a note relayed through Bloomberg News, coupled with a subsequent interview, Mike McGlone, I believe that is how you pronounce that, an analyst at the outlet, has made it clear that the aforementioned indicators point to lower lows for Bitcoin. McGlone, who hasn't been afraid to tout his doomsday sentiment in the past, explained that Bitcoin could fall another 60% to $1,500, with altcoins likely falling close behind the cryptocurrency godfather. Interestingly, while Bitcoin Cash's hard fork has come and passed, the analyst drew attention to the contentious event, along with year-end tax selling as purported catalyst for Bitcoin's move to $1,500. Elaborating while also touching on market cycles, he noted, "We're at a classic psychological stage where the market is reversing the 2017 frenzy. The hard fork was a key trigger that signaled the technology is way too nascent. You had these dicey characters threatening to destroy each other, and institutions said it might be best if we stay away from this for a while." Now, honestly, I think he's completely correct here in this assessment. This article makes it sound like it's bizarre to mention the Bitcoin Cash hard fork, like it's something that is in the past that doesn't have any effect anymore. But in my opinion, that is the single biggest thing that has happened in the crypto world in the second half of 2018. It is the single worst thing that has happened in the crypto world in at least a year. It has absolutely ruined our image. It has eroded trust in cryptocurrencies even further. And we're going to need some time to recover from that. And it might see the prices drop harder even still. And he does add other elements here. But in general, yeah, here, you had these dicey characters threatening to destroy each other. Yeah, dicey characters who were threatening to destroy the number 4 Bitcoin. The number 4 cryptocurrency. And those were reasonable threats coming from established people, coming from someone who claims to be Satoshi himself. I mean, he isn't Satoshi. Everyone knows he isn't Satoshi. He's an obvious fake, but still. This is coming from someone who claims to be the original creator of cryptocurrency, openly threatening to destroy the number 4 cryptocurrency. We had that cryptocurrency splitting into two, undermining the image of both Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin by association, making people question what value there is in cryptocurrencies if you can just decide you want to create tokens out of thin air by hard forking a cryptocurrency at any time. Roger Ver's and Craig Wright's cash grab really ruined the crypto world for late 2018. And I hope we will remember that in a couple of years. And these people will never again be accepted as anything as those cash grabbers with no regard for the crypto world that they are. But this is now something that people are aware of. And especially if people are only seeing the headlines, that is psychologically very dangerous for the crypto world. And that is why I don't think it's out there to say that Bitcoin Cash hard fork was the catalyst of this downfall, that this might continue, because there are very little reasons to believe it will turn around in the coming weeks. There are very little events that could serve as an inciting factor there. And especially right now, as it says year-end tax selling, that is also going on at the same time. And generally at the end of the year, people are less likely to spend, to invest. A lot of institutional investors do most of their major stuff earlier, spend the end of the year doing tax work. A lot of personal retail investors, smaller investors who are just investing their personal money. A lot of those are not rich, and in the end of the year is usually when money is tight, so that also means less money going into investments. Some people might even be pulling money out of their investments to buy Christmas presents. It sounds ridiculous, but it happens. It happens at a large scale every year, because a lot of people are very tight with their money, and a lot of people put more money into investments than they can actually safely put into investments, that they then see themselves forced to pull out of them at inopportune times. So I'm not quite sure I buy his 1,500, but a continuation of this bear market for at least the next couple of weeks, I think is pretty much a given at this point. Now, there could always be something going on in the markets that completely turns this around, but as it is right now, I don't see any reason to believe that we're going to see the markets turn around before the end of this year. I think 2019 is going to be a big year for crypto, but 2018 we just have to write off the end of this year for now. But looking at the long term, we have people willing to put their money where their mouth is on the future potential of crypto. Morgan Creek Digital, an institutional manager focused on cryptocurrencies and digital assets, wants to bet $1 million that such assets will outperform the S&P 500 during the next 10 years. And the S&P 500 of course tracks 500 top stocks. The asset manager is challenging any professional investor or firm that believes cryptocurrencies are worthless or that public equities are a better bet to prove their belief with a long-term bet against the Digital Asset Index Fund, a crypto index fund managed by Bitwise Asset Management. The bet will be structured like the famous Warren Buffett bet, which began in 2008 when the billionaire investor wagered $1 million that investing in an S&P 500 index fund would see a greater result than investing in hedge funds. Buffett won this bet. Now Morgan Creek Digital is betting that an index fund containing Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, EOS, Litecoin, Monero, Zcash, Dash, IOTA and NEM will outperform the S&P 500 over the next decade. And once again, we don't really need to read the rest of this. I think this is a very bullish signal that that major players in the investment market, in the crypto investment market, are willing to put their money where their mouth is. Now, 1 million is a whole lot of money. It is not quite that much money for institutional investors, but it is still a tidy sum. That is still a tidy sum. Even if you're a multimillionaire, even if you're a billionaire, $1 million is still the kind of number that you that makes you think, that makes you pay attention. And I'm interested in seeing if anyone, if any of the crypto critics, if any of the crypto bashers are willing to put their money where their mouth is as well. If they believe so strongly that crypto is a Ponzi scheme, that crypto is doomed to fail, that crypto was a bubble that has now popped forever, put your money where your mouth is. Make that bet. Because I know, and most of us in the crypto world know, that the future of the crypto world is bright. We have looked at the top projects in this space, and we know there are great teams behind them, doing incredible work, updating their technology, developing new use cases, finding new partnerships, improving their blockchains. We know there are major companies working with these technologies. We know that major players in the financial world are getting ready to invest billions in the crypto world. And all of that can only go one direction, and that is up. We don't know when it will happen, but we know it will happen. So if you think we're all just idiots, put your money where your mouth is. And our side is doing that. And with that, I'm going to end this video. As always, thank you so much for watching. I have a bunch of other news articles that I couldn't even get to in this video, so I might make another one later, but don't take that as a promise quite yet. As always, all the links to these articles are in the description. There you will also find my social media pages as well as ways to support the channel if you feel so inclined. Any little support is appreciated. And thanks so much for watching, and see you guys in another video soon.